Hello, everybody. Okay. Hello, everybody.
Hello, all.
Hello.
Tim is having some computer issues, so he'll be with us shortly.
Good evening. I'm here. I'll start the video when the meeting starts.
Sounds good. What is going on here? Everyone here? I don't know where my Zoom went. Okay.
We can see you.
I'm not sure what. Return to meeting. Oh, there we are. Okay. No recording. Anyone else going? All right. Tim, you're on mute. If you're talking.
What'd you do? Oh, you just down there? Okay.
And we are on YouTube.
On YouTube Live?
Yes, we made it.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, hello.
5 minutes before the meeting was supposed to start, my computer lost the Wi-Fi connection. So I've got some old thing that Sarah found in the trash can somewhere. Excuse me, I got a piece of paper. Stupid computers. Don't need that. Okay, I see everyone's here from the Board of Trustees. I'm Tim Colopy, Mayor of the Village of Millbrook, and this is the June 9th meeting of the Board of Trustees. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
And to the republic
which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Clerk Sarah, can you do the roll call of the trustees?
Yes, sir. Mayor Colby,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Herzog,
Here.
Trustee Contino,
Here.
Trustee Arbogast,
Here.
Trustee Anson.
Here.
Okay, thank you. I anticipate numerous times of Sarah coming into the room to save me from whatever I'm doing.
Be right there.
No, wait, I'm good. Hang on, let me just. Okay. Okay, we are doing this with YouTube Live today as a test. In addition to recording it for Zoom for posting later. Question for you, am I sharing or not?
No.
Not yet.
So Sarah, can you come here and help me share?
Be right there.
Thank God I didn't decide to do this from home. Oh, is that sharing?
Yes.
You all see the title page? Okay, good.
Okay.
I got it. Okay, fine. And I gotta use the finger. Okay, fine. Okay, here's the agenda for today. It's basically the standard monthly reports from the business heads. We'll start off with the minutes approval, the voucher approval. We'll hear from each of the departments. I've got some updates on some old status. I wanted to start in a discussion on step 5 here on new business, the code update. I'll then ask for public comments. And then we'll get the board member updates, the mayor update, and then we'll adjourn. All right, any questions or additions for the agenda?
No.
All right. Okay, minutes. Sarah, you distributed the minutes from the last 2 meetings, the special meeting we had for the civilian complaint procedure.
Yes.
and also for the last Board of Trustee meeting in May. Have the trustees had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Any edits, corrections, updates that are requested?
I don't think I received the minutes.
Ah,
Sorry. Wait, hold on. Let me just look here. Okay,
They're all the way at the bottom of the Zoom email.
thank you, Vicki. Yeah, I just got home. I haven't had time to review them. I apologize.
okay, well, we just need a quorum, so have the rest of you had a chance to look at them?
Yes.
Yes.
This month, for once, I've actually reviewed myself. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes as published by Sarah?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And one abstention from Buffy. Okay, good, thank you.
Hey, Tim,
Yes,
your video is not on.
can you come over here for a minute?
Yes. Why is this not showing? Stop sharing. Can you not share on this one? You know, let me give you mine.
Hold on for a second, sorry about this. This is obviously a Bill Gates problem. You can't get this done with two computers. The obvious solution is to get a third computer. Oh, yeah, right.
So yeah, let me take that one.
Okay, let's move on to-
Now he's not sharing. Okay. It's not
I
moving.
can't scroll down
Okay.
the presentation.
Okay.
Can you scroll it?
Problem is I can't see all the options are. I just don't know where the options are. Yes, I can.
If you can scroll it, I can just ask you to change the page.
Yeah.
Tim, you're muted. Hey, Tim, you're muted.
Somebody let Tim know he's muted.
Okay, fine. So, again, these are the vouchers for May 31st, ended the fiscal year of 2020-2021. And we have in the general fund $52,509. The Bedrock Fund, we paid a bill from Milnes for $99,084. The Water Fund, we have $9,231. And Sewer Fund, we have $15,063 for a total of $175,889. Can I get a motion from a trustee to approve the vouchers?
I'll motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll get a second.
Sarah, I am not hearing anyone else. That's it. We'll go over to her, and we're gonna do it from her office. So I can't hear anybody else. They can hear me? Or increased volume, you others? All right. Mike, can you say something?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, okay, fine. All right, so I'm sorry again, but can I get a motion from a trustee to approve the vouchers?
I'll motion.
In a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Sarah, can you come in here again? So once again, I can't go from chart to chart.
Right, I moved it to the next one.
You're doing it. Okay,
Yes.
fine.
Yes,
All right, fine. This is the new page for the new year.
yes.
All right, you're taking care of moving. Thank
Yes,
you.
You just tell me next chart.
Will do. All right, good. So here's the chart for the vouchers for the new fiscal year that just started June 1st. So as you can see, it's a very relatively low amount of money. General fund, there was $61,938. The water fund was $2,084. The sewer fund, there was $1,819 for a total of $65,842. And you're receiving separate emails from, or separate files from Nicole separating out the last fiscal year versus the new fiscal year. Can I get a motion from the trustees to approve these vouchers for the new fiscal year?
I'll move.
And a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's move to the next chart. Before we talk about the fire department, I wanted to bring up with the trustees a question, which is basically New York State, the governor's office has made a statement that once the state achieves a certain level of vaccinations, they're going to remove all of the emergency restrictions due to COVID-19. And so that at some point we need to discuss what we're going to do to get back together again, meeting in person, including having residents invited. And so I've had discussions with trustees kind of one-on-one in the past, and there seems to be a concern with the space here in the village hall to accommodate all the trustees, all the presenters, and expected residents participants. And so the question is, what are the alternatives we can consider? So I just had an initial discussion with Matt at the firehouse today, whether or not we could consider moving village meetings to the firehouse in the future, not in the near future, but sometime in the future. So first, I'd like to know, do the trustees have any opinion or comments about that?
I think it would be great. It's a bigger space, than in the village hall, you know, so I think it would be great.
Okay,
I
I
agree,
agree.
as long as it doesn't disrupt operations there, and that's, up to, the fire department, I think, to let us know.
yeah, we'd have to work with Matt on coordinating the schedule, yep.
Yeah,
That's
okay,
fine with me.
I assume the technology is easily taken from one place to another, so I don't assume that's gonna be any kind of an issue in taping the meetings and in being able to put them on the internet, et cetera. So
Actually, Mike, not true. It may be technically difficult. It might be prohibitively expensive to do this. So that is why it's going to take an evaluation. It's going to take us some time. Okay, so that is a big TBD in my mind, whether it's possible. Okay,
Okay,
Leslie, any comments from you about it?
No, I'm fine with it. Would you have to do like broadcast it if it was open to the public, or would that be suffice that you're welcoming them in?
That would be one of my goals, is to start broadcasting again as well on Channel 22. So making it available for people to attend in person, as well as broadcasting, and give us sufficient space that we can socially distance. So that's why I'm just getting kind of reluctant to say the village hall is an option. And again, my initial discussion with Matt today was positive, but there's a lot of work to be done ahead of that. Okay. All right. So if there's no more questions or comments about that, we will start pursuing that, and I'll keep you posted. All right.
okay.
Okay. So with that, let's start with the monthly reports by the department heads. Ted, Matt, you're on.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Figures for the month of May are up on the screen there. Total of 77 alarms for the month. 11 automatic fire alarms, 57 EMS calls, 3 motor vehicle accidents, 1 vehicle fire, which was actually a commercial lawnmower, not a motor vehicle, and 5 service calls. The service call category this month was mostly assisting other agencies. One was just extinguishing a small or evaluating a couple of small controlled burns that turned out to be okay. And one was assisting this sheriff's office with a traffic detail and a couple other similar things. The NDP paid unit responded 52 times. The volunteer ambulance went out 4 times, and we had 28 calls where the members responded to assist 79. We went mutual aid to other departments twice for fires, 7 times for EMS calls, and we had mutual aid response to assist us 3 times for fire calls and 3 times for EMS calls.
Okay. I have to ask, when I got this morning, there was a 911 call to the sewer treatment plant.
Yeah,
And
correct.
possible transformer fire, it said. But when I went down there, Mike was there from VRI just doing his normal morning checklist, and he wasn't aware of any issues. So was there a problem down there, or was it?
Yeah, there was a wire down or a transformer problem. We're not sure exactly what the cause was. It occurred in the woods between the sewer treatment plant and Fountain Place, from what I'm told. I was at work at that time of the morning, and I didn't. I heard the call, obviously, but I wasn't there. They said that Central Hudson had to shut power down, but the line that fell was an abandoned piece of equipment that they don't. It's not part of the transmission equipment for the village anymore, so it didn't affect any residents or structures, and so they just shut it off. And,
okay.
They'll make an effort to clear. They have to clear some vegetation and make it accessible again, because it's an area they haven't used. There used to be a distribution facility there, like a little substation, many years ago, and it's been abandoned and bypassed since then. But the line that fed in or out of it, I'm not sure which, is still there. Scott may have a better idea. I don't know.
All right. Any other questions for Ted?
No,
Does Matt want to give any update?
I have nothing.
Okay.
That's what I like about you, Matt.
Ted, I just have a quick question, or Matt, sorry, not about this, but I was just wondering about the carnival and everything this year. Is it going to happen? I've had some people ask and I honestly didn't know.
Matt, you're up.
Well, we don't have the Thorn Building grounds anymore because of the changing that's going on up there.
Okay,
So we were looking to do a block party, 2-day block party event in July. But when we were starting to plan it, the county had too many mandates. So we had to cancel it. And then, of course, 2 weeks later, they start lifting everything. So we're looking to try to possibly get something together and do it for October, like an Oktoberfest, a 2-day Oktoberfest event, and do the parade. It'll be a Friday and Saturday, and then bring the parade in for the Saturday night. And that's what we're trying to do from now on until we get a spot to host the carnival again, which
great,
in the future will be down at Bennett College.
awesome.
Once
Thank
they
you.
get that all done and demolished and the park done.
Let's hope it's soon. So-
Okay, good. Now, Buffy, by the way, aren't we planning a community day this year? The MBA?
That's a good question, Tim. I will get back with you on that. I'll make a note. Usually it is in September, but I will definitely check with the NBA and follow up with you.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions for Matt or Ted? While we're between the police and the fire, I just wanted to say, we read this very nice letter to the editor in the Milton News the weekend before Memorial Day. There was a 2-car accident at the traffic light down there at the intersection of Franklin and 82 and 44. Person says this past Saturday, my car, an SUV, was hit by a car going through a red light. I want to express my deep appreciation to Officer Del Judas of the Millbrook Police Department, to the Millbrook Fire Department personnel, and to the Northern Dutchess paramedics, all of whom responded promptly to the scene and who exhibited calm and kind professionalism. God bless and thank goodness for our wonderful first responders and to our municipalities and their taxpayers who support them. Kenneth Leitner of Millington. Thought that was a pretty nice recognition of our first responders who are there 24/7 for us, and we really appreciate what they do. It was nice to hear that. The second thing I want to say to both the police and the fire is I sent you all a list from the insurance agent of the people who are listed as drivers of either fire equipment, rescue equipment, or police vehicles. And I'd like you to go through that and get back to me. Remove names that are no longer relevant. Add anybody who's not on the list, including Matt, by the way. I hope you're not driving any vehicles for the village because you're not on that list. But anyway, get back to me and note that the list requires the date of birth and your license, the license number. All right. I've got no hard time frame for this. I will just keep pestering you until you come through, but don't deep file it for me. Just get back to me sometime. All right. Any questions about that?
No.
All right, good. Then let's move on to the police.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just for advisement, I've returned that list to you. None of the police officers were on it. So,
You were on there.
I was, well, because I'm a member of the fire department.
Okay, fine. All right,
So,
good. Thanks for that.
Also, Mr. Mayor, you stole my thunder. I was going to sing the praises of Officer Del Judas from that letter, but
Sing it again. Just keep it on key this time.
So it was very nice to receive that letter, recognizing ourselves and the fire department and Northern Dutchess paramedics. So in front of you is the monthly report for, it's our year end fiscally. So you'll see there, we handled a total of 133 incidents in the month of May. The incident numbers are listed there just below it. Traffic wise, we call traffic for anything vehicle and road related. 16 traffic tickets, 12 parking tickets, 4 property damage auto accidents, 10 vehicle and traffic complaints, which either include bolos from 911 or additional traffic stops were 10. Parking complaints, 3. Disabled vehicles, 2. Road hazards, 2. And 1 traffic detail, which was the water main break on Valley Farm Road that Officer Aloisio assisted with. We assisted other police agencies 7 times, the fire department 5, EMS 16 times. We completed the town of Washington court detail 3 times and assisted the Millbrook Central School District with their lockdown drills once. As for criminal activity, we had 1 arrest, 6 domestic incidents, 4 disorderly conducts or disturbances, 2 harassments, 1 possible stalking, which through investigation revealed that it was not, 3 larcenies, and 1 order of protection was issued. Under community service, we had two suspicious activities, assisted citizens 3 times, 4 house checks, because our, I don't call them snowbirds. They're back for the summer now. So we have less of those. Property checks, we did 2, where we found 2 open doors in places that shouldn't have had open doors at times they're not operational. 6 burglar alarms, 6 property incidents, 4 lockouts, 7 records requests, 1 civil, 2 animal complaints, 1 mental health incident, 1 noise, 1 safety hazard, which was a downed wire that turned out to be cable, 1 missing child, 1 unattended child, and 1 unattended death. The mayor and I attended the memorial service at New York State Police Troop K. We like to extend our thanks for the invitation, and that was a somber but great time. My department also helped with the county Memorial Day convoy that came in just before our Memorial Day parade, both of which were completed without incident. Any questions on what's presented in front of you?
So first off, I want to add to your comments about the service by the state police. It was a first-class service. I was really overwhelmed by what they did there. Very nice job. And thanks for what you did for the Memorial Day service. That worked out very, very nice, very smooth. Well done.
Thank you. So I have a few more things after my report. A couple of updates. I know on the agenda it mentioned the reform.
All right, so wait, first off, let's see, any questions or comments about the monthly report by the trustees first?
No.
And by anyone else in the audience?
No, sir.
Okay, then go ahead, Jared.
Like I said, on the agenda, it mentions reform updates, and reform updates on my end include that myself and the mayor have been conversing about the updated community policing / foot patrols, and we will have a detailed list of what that'll include effective for the beginning of July, just so that we can figure out how to quantify it or substantiate it, figure out how we're going to word it and present it to the community. But that'll roll out at the beginning of the month of July.
And by the way, I said to Officer Witt that I'd really like him to personalize it so that each officer has their own style, and I like them to basically, say, here's what he or she would like to do, and let Officer Witt kind of collate that all together. All right.
And again, I spoke with the mayor. It's not necessarily a hard line like our community policing is going to be a foot patrol. Like today, I happened to be driving around and I found all the kids at the playground from the daycare MECEC up at the end of Maple Avenue. And I ended up spending, 15, 20 minutes talking with them. And that's what we've been doing for many years. And it's just now we're trying to put a name to it, be able to let people know what we've been doing, and just present it in a way that that we're making a concerted effort to continue those interactions with the public. Further into the reform, myself and Trustee Contino and the mayor have spoken about some of the code update, which I know is also listed further down in the agenda. We'll be working together to continue the updating of our traffic and parking code. And then, as everyone knows, late last month, we established the civilian review board for complaints. So that's all I have for the reform on my side for updates. Any questions or comments about that?
Okay, very good. Thanks for that update.
So that's the reforms. The new
Yep.
car went out to be lit and lettered Thursday of last week. It's put together and it's scheduled to go to get its vinyl and its lettering and emblems on late this week. I met with the graphic designer this morning, and that we should have that very soon.
Very good.
Go ahead.
Just so the board knows, one officer went to trade in the oldest car once he gets the new one here up and running. I've agreed, though, that we will keep the 3 cars through the 4th of July fireworks display where we shut down Church Street just to give them additional visibility for traffic control.
Mr. Mayor, you're stealing my thunder left, right, and sideways tonight.
Okay. All right.
Additionally, we're prepared and all set for the fireworks display put on by the Millbrook Golf and Tennis Club on July 3rd. We are going to keep the oldest vehicle in service through then, like you said, to have just an extra car. It's a matter of keeping the car about an extra week on the payroll, on the insurance, and we just thought that was the best idea for that. It'll then be decommissioned. It'll have its emergency lights removed and all its lettering, and be taken out of service and removed from the rolls after the fireworks. So actually tomorrow, I have a ride along scheduled with Trustee Contino. She's going to join me for at least a portion of my shift, the day shift tomorrow. I would also like to extend the invitation to any of the other board members. I've had a partial ride along with Mr. Herzog, but any of the new ones, Ms. Arbogast, anytime, Mr. Mayor, anytime. Ms. Leslie, your last name's slipping my mind for now, but I assume after June, anytime. And I look forward to that. So we have that going on. And lastly, I was able to secure some grants through the New York State Police that provided us new printers for both vehicles for our ticket and report writing systems. Each printer is valued at just under $500. So that was a nice $1,000 savings through a grant through New York State Police. They also supplied us 2 scanners through the same grant, which allows us to scan the licenses and put them into the ticket writing system. And further, we were able to secure through the same grant 2 new computers for the cars. One for our existing Ford to update and upgrade from the laptop we're using, and then one also for the new car that'll be rolled out. So I was very excited about that because we're going to have to purchase the computer ourselves, and we want to thank Sergeant Hedges of the New York State Police for advising us and helping us out with this grant process to save our taxpayers some money and get us top of the line equipment.
Great. Good job. Any questions or comments about that?
Good job, Jared.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else you're going to say before I go steal your thunder again?
No, I'd open any questions or comments in general, and other than that, no, thank you.
Okay, I sent an email to the trustees with a question regarding police officer pay for holiday service. And the issue is that the handbook specifies the police officers will receive time and a half pay for 4 of the 13 days that are paid holidays for regular employees.
It was 6. It was 6 of the 13.
6 of the 13. I was very close.
Yes,
6
sir.
of the 13. And the question is, I guess Officer Witt has told me that there's a precedent from prior mayors that we did the same thing for the other 7 days.
So historically, the part-time officers were paid at a holiday rate for the same holidays that the full-time employees had off.
Okay, so that'd be the 13 total holidays, of which you're saying 6 are already covered per the handbook.
Correct.
So the question to the trustees is, any discussion about expanding this to cover all the remaining holidays, 7 additional, which would be an additional cost this year projected to be $1,400, but which Officer Witt has committed to accept that within his current budget. In other words,
To
it's
do
not gonna
our
be added to the
to
budget.
do our best to accept to maintain that
But
within
he's
our budget.
fully committed from hell or high water to contain that within his budget. So I guess first, is any questions or comments from the trustees about that? And by the way, we don't need to decide now if you want to take it offline and think about it, because I just sent the email out to y'all, I think today. So comments from the trustees?
I had a question. Oh, I'm off mute. Did we not pay for example, Washington's birthday? I assume we had somebody working this year.
So listed in the handbook are the paid holidays for the full-time employees, and then the 6 that are listed for the part-time police officers. I don't believe that. I think maybe you're referring to President's Day.
Yeah, President's Day is right. It combines
Yeah,
Washington and Lincoln.
So they were paid at the premium, and then beginning at the starting of the new year with the new administration, we were abiding strictly by the handbook. So it had so the previous ones were, and they weren't initially budgeted for this fiscal year to pay them at time and a half rate for the holidays.
Yeah, go back specifically, prior calendar year, they were being paid the time and a half.
Correct.
Starting this calendar year, when I came into the office, we were adhering to what the handbook says. Okay. So
I
the
see.
proposal to the board is that we expand that coverage to cover all the holidays. And actually, I would update the handbook to reflect that if the board approves.
You don't need a resolution for that, and
I don't believe so. A motion will be sufficient. But I first want to know, does the board want to think about this, or are we willing to have a discussion and then a decision?
I'd like to think about it.
Fine.
Again, I'm a little behind the 8 ball here. I apologize.
Yeah, well, actually, my note is fresh off the press, so I've got no problem with doing that. We'll table it, and we can have a discussion at next meeting. What I'd like to do is
May I
get,
make just one comment?
yes,
Apart from the fire department and the rescue squad, we are the only village employees that work all of the holidays. And I know that we sign up for it as police officers we end up missing birthdays, we end up missing holidays, we end up missing family events. And I think it's just a way to say thank you for what our part-time officers do in regards to missing family events and holidays to serve our community. And that's all I have to, that's my last comment on it.
Okay, fine. Any other comments, questions?
No.
Okay, good. Let's move on then. Bob,
Yes, hello.
hello.
Okay, for the monthly report.
Will you
Voting-
stand up and give that report?
Excuse me?
Can you give that report standing up? Put your torso back on camera.
Oh, then I can't read it.
No, no.
Kidding, kidding.
Oh, okay.
We like your t-shirt.
My T-shirt. Oh, Mr. Lennon.
Yes,
Yeah, there.
the other side of Bob Colacola. Yeah.
Okay, you stole my thunder. No. All right, we mowed and trimmed all village properties, painted all curbs yellow in the no parking areas, and also the red curbing in front of the firehouse. Cleared cut back brush and trees blocking the Millbrook Business District sign on 44. Cleared catch basins following trimmed low-hanging tree branches, mainly over sidewalks. Anything that would hit me in the head, basically we cleared. We began weed killing on all curb areas. Installed AC units at the village hall. Relocated court filing cabinets at Village Hall. Completed brush pickup to be followed up with the second Monday of July, August, and September as extra days for putting out brush. The new furnace installation is completed and a really great job was done in Village Hall. Perform weekly street garbage pickup. Also, there were 3 new trees planted where old trees were taken down. And not on the list was something we completed yesterday, which was on the shoulder of Church Street toward 343, that area that is was dug out and worn away by rainstorms. As you can see in that picture, we put in the millings that have been taken away when we mill roads to repave them. So in essence, they've been recycled. And that's what, between us and the town, we're using those millings to our advantage. They harden up almost like blacktop after they're wet and rolled out. So we put that in there, and I think that'll save all the people who go over there to talk on their cell phones a lot of problems. Well, that's what it's.
That really looks good. For those of you who aren't aware, so on the left-hand side, the picture is as you're going out Church Street, just before you get to 343. So the cemetery is on the left up the hill. The golf course is across the street on the right. And the picture on the right is just the reverse image, all right? And that was a real problem. I pulled over the one time with my pickup and I almost lost it. So I appreciate you taking care of that, Bob. Nice job.
And at the end of that, there is a drain that drains into a catch basin around that corner. So you can't see it from here, but that'll also help open that up and for better drainage off the side of the road.
All right.
The problem we're having with the street lights. I spoke with Millbrook Electric today, who has a meeting, finally was able to get a meeting with Central Hudson for either Friday or Monday so that we can trace what the problem is. We kind of know what the problem is, but Central Hudson, for those who don't know it, we own those street lights, but when we changed them over to the fancier type street lights, we inherited those street lights. But the power obviously is still provided by Central Hudson. So we have to use that. We have to have them track where the problem is, and it's affecting 4 lights. So hopefully we'll have that resolved. And as soon as we find the problem, then Millbrook Electric will be working on them.
So Bob, is it fair to say that Central Hudson owns the lines, the wires that are in the ground?
Yes.
Great. Why'd you say 4? I thought there were 7 lights that are out.
No, there's just the 3 that are, well, actually 4 that are connected then, but those are the ones that are one separate problem. The other
Yeah.
problem across the street at Audius is we know what that problem is.
All right, so you got Audias, the old Forzas, and across the street from there, the hair salon, right?
Right.
Those 2 are still out.
And then we have from the deli on down, those 3 are on the same line. And then across the street, the way this was designed was a real mess. I mean, one half of the street, the supply is at the far corner near the bank. The other half is on top of the pole next to Audia's Audia's building. So they're 2 separate things. And Central Hudson is the ones who, they supply it. So we're kind of at their mercy until they get around to doing that. And with all the, you've probably seen all the subcontractors that are doing electrical work now for them. We don't want a subcontractor. We're waiting till we get a Central Hudson person that knows the history, because the subcontractors are not going to know what, where things are or anything like that. So that's why Central Hudson's a little tied up. And with some storm, we've got some storm damage and things like that. But they did promise us they would send one of their people out Friday or Monday.
All right, very good.
Can I ask you a question about the streetlights? Because someone brought this to my attention recently, at least on Franklin. I don't know if it's true throughout the village. I haven't looked myself. They were pointing out that our streetlights are designed so that the lighting doesn't just focus down on the sidewalks for safety, to provide safety and security on the sidewalks, but rather also beam light upwards and outwards and affect the apartments on Franklin Avenue, sometimes quite substantially. So that was one set of issues. The other one was that instead of using LEDs, we use old-fashioned lights. And I know that LEDs would be much less expensive for us and of course better for the environment. So I guess I have a 2-part question. Can I just throw this out? I know we can't answer this question right now. Can we consider, as we're doing sidewalks or even within this project, refocusing the lamps in some way or in some way in inhibiting the distribution of light beyond what we truly want to light, so that we don't have the light pollution and the nuisance in the village? The second is, if we can't do that immediately and costs are prohibitive to actually change the whole fixture, can we at least replace the bulbs to use LED bulbs?
No, and no. Unfortunately, to put LEDs in there would mean replacing the entire light. We put in a much more efficient type bulb in there now. The 3 lamps that are past, on the right-hand side, past the library, were new style, and those bulbs, and I guess they've been there about 7 or 8 years, and we've replaced 1. The old style, we've done that. We've gotten rid of all the old style bulbs with more efficient, longer lasting bulbs. To put the LEDs in would be changing all the lights over and quite expensive. As far as directing the light inside the light themselves, there are some metal buffers, I guess you could call, or baffles that direct the light down, but you'd have to the only way you could get it from not shining in somebody's window would be to paint the back of the lights. And you don't want to do that because there are people who are complaining that it's not bright enough on the streets and it's, could be dangerous. So you have to look at what's best for the majority, I guess. That's the only type of, for that style lamp. If you want to stay with the old fashioned looking type lamp, any style I've ever seen are completely or all the way around are clear. So that means you're going to have that light shining in that direction at all times, in all directions.
The filaments now are sodium, right?
Yeah, they're a high high efficiency sodium
Yeah.
that last. I mean, we were replacing bulbs every 6 months, and now we haven't replaced any, and they last years and years.
So the sodium filament bulbs are replacements from what was initially there. Is that right?
I'm sorry, say that again.
The sodium filament bulbs we have today are replacements from what was initially there?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
The
okay.
ones that initially were there were, like I said, every 6-7 months we were having to go up there and change them. These, since we've put these in, I don't believe we've changed one. And down by where you are, I think we've changed one bulb, and those have been up there for probably about 8 years.
Okay.
So they are, and they do last a long time. And that was the big thing. But as far as getting them not shining in the apartments, I don't know what you would do for that other than getting a different style light that hangs over the street or something like that. I don't, you
I don't
can't.
think anybody wants the light to be removed from the sidewalk.
I'm sorry?
I don't think anybody wants the light to be removed from the sidewalk, but it's the upward shining of the lights that are a problem.
Well, they
So
don't really
there's no
shine. They
solution.
don't shine up, they shine out.
Right.
Because there are baffles in there that stop them from going up in the air and wasting that light. The baffles shine them down, but it's just where the height of them, the height of the light is going to, make them shine 360 degrees all the way around. So it's, again, other than painting that side of the lamp, I don't know, I don't really have a solution for that.
I'll vouch that it shines light all around because I saved the cost of a nightlight in my upstairs hallway because of the light that's right outside my window.
Yeah,
Yeah, for better or worse.
So Bob, really quickly also, just looking back at last month's bill from Central Hudson from the village lighting and this month's bill, I mean, with so many street lights out, we're virtually paying like the same amount for the street lighting. So maybe you can ask Central Hudson what's going on there, because if all of these lights are out and they're drawing this electricity that we're actually, and the lights are out and we're not able to use the street lights, what's going on there? Just looking back at that, that's one thing. And the other thing is have you asked Central Hudson if there's any type of program that they're offering to help change these lights out for LEDs? And the only reason I ask is because I know they have them for businesses because I've participated in that.
Okay.
Where they literally come out and take care of it for you for a very small fee, but I have no idea about the village lighting.
Well, this wouldn't be a small fee. We would have to change out the whole fixture, basically.
Right.
But I can ask them. I don't really deal with the billing department and and the water and all those things. And the person that's coming out would have no idea. So we'd have to contact the business office as far as the usage, or why the usage is still up.
Okay. So maybe someone, I could do it, or someone, maybe if we figure out just to ask them that. And then
It might be a flat rate. I don't know how they bill us or how there's no meters on them. So
Right.
that's why I don't know how they would even figure the usage, because there isn't a meter that they can read. So yeah,
Right. Okay.
That I'm not real familiar with because I've never really dealt with the cost of the billing.
Now the cost of the lights, just remember, those decorative lights we have on Franklin and Front, that's a small percentage of the lights in the village, right? Because we have a lot of those green pole lights all around, right?
Yes, and
I want to say there's not 100, but there's something closer to 150 of those lights around the village, right?
the regular pole lights.
Yeah. the
Yeah,
pole
they're
lights.
all over. They're
Yeah.
on every street.
So Buffy, the bill that you see includes those lights along Franklin and Front, as well as the what Bob calls the pole lights. Those big
So
green
that's
lights.
the village quote lighting?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all in there.
Although
Alright,
the only thing I would add is that the days are about an hour longer since last month or
Yep.
the month before. So, I don't know if that's taken into account or if the lights go on and off at the same time. I've really never looked at that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah,
Take longer, do they program them differently? Is it dusk to dawn? Like, how does that work?
Billing wise, I honestly don't know.
Okay.
Okay,
Also, just for everybody's information, the lights that are on the green across from Morona's, those are not village lights.
Hmm.
Those are paid for by Tribute Gardens, as are the ones in the library parking lot across the street from Village Hall, and also the ones that are behind Morona's. All those decorative lights are strictly, those aren't village lights. So we don't take care of them or pay for them.
And they never have a problem for some reason.
What's that?
I say they never go out for some reason. There's never.
Oh,
a
they're all the
problem.
new, they're all the new style.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they were all put in, those are the new heads on those, so they have longer.
All right.
lives.
So look, per this discussion, you'll follow up with Central Hudson and see if there is some kind of program that we should look at it, do an ROI. This is analogous to what Matt did a few years ago for the firehouse, right? There was some kind of a reimbursement program from
Yeah,
Central
we
Hudson.
did the same thing at the Village Garage too.
Oh, that's right, you did. Yeah, I remember
We
that.
did that there also.
Even in the hall here, I think you did some things.
Yeah, when I speak to Mike Schultz from Millbrook Electric, I'll see if I can get a solid price on what it would cost, or if there is even a chance of just changing out the guts in the light, to change them to LEDs, and see what the cost would be. If it can't be done, then of course it would have to be, they'd have to be wired differently, and they'd have to have a new.
Okay, and by the way, if we do it, we're gonna do it for all the lights, and as you discussed earlier, we'd also have to coordinate with the Tribute Gardens, because we can't have, 2/3 of the lights having one, have a sodium filament light, which is gonna be different than an LED light. So if we're gonna do it, we gotta do it across the board, so they all look the same.
Right. Yeah, the LEDs are significantly brighter, so
Yeah, right.
that would add to the problem of being brighter in people's houses. So it's you kind of can't win.
Maybe
But
it'll
they're
cost
cheaper.
painting the side that faces into the apartment windows.
You could do that, but I don't know if that would diminish the lighting on the sidewalk, because we had people complaining that it wasn't well lit, and that's why people, I guess the businesses were putting the lights on in their windows so that the main street was brighter.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard that, there's been so many different types of discussions. I know.
Well, I can tell you that the businesses were putting the lights on in their windows just to make the village, like the MBA just sort of stressed that when people come through town, it just makes the village look nicer. People tend to stop and sort of like look into the windows of local businesses. It's more inviting. And so we encourage people, if they felt comfortable leaving, like I never did it. And then I started doing it years ago. And it definitely makes a difference.
Oh, yeah. And
The village and so forth.
Right, the village, right up.
Definitely. And I'd be happy just to call Central Hudson just to see if there's any type of lighting program for local villages and any grants that they're doing similar to businesses and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good, Buffy. So you'll do that? All right,
I'd be
fine.
happy to, yeah.
All right, sure.
From a police point of view, a well-lit village is an excellent idea. The more light, short of light pollution and inconveniencing residents, like Miss Arbogast said, having your lights on and your windows displaying your store, it's great. It just it deters further crime, and I'm gonna endorse that.
Yeah.
And whatever needs to be done with the streetlights to provide the most safety and without the inconvenience directly into residences.
Mhm.
That's my point of view on that.
Okay. Okay, one other thing, highway. So Bob, first off, thanks for getting Welsh Sanitation to do a second pickup of the garbage cans every week. I really appreciate that. Still, I guess I want to talk to you maybe offline about what to do about the can in front of the deli. Which
Well,
gets filled up. It's like
that
minutes
was-
after it's emptied, it's filled again.
Marcus was emptying it himself
Mm-hmm.
because obviously 95% of the refuse is from the deli.
Mhm.
Apparently he stopped doing that.
Okay.
And
So should I talk to him about it? Maybe I'll do that. And I guess I want to talk to him and ask, would a second can be helpful? I mean, do you think that's possible or not?
helpful.
Well,
but
think
I don't know
about
if he's
it.
gonna-
Let's talk about it. It's just that we should do something about that trash can. Let me start by talking to Marcus, and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just to chime in, I know I went for my haircut at Danielle's this past week, and she was asking if there was a way to be able to get another can or some way to be able to help with overflow of garbage in the area in front of her shop, because now that we're getting more traffic and it's not winter and we have the outside seating, there's more garbage being generated, and we have to find a way to be able to see if we can help alleviate those kind of problems, not just for the deli, but for Buffy and for the people who are coming out of there, who need a garbage can as well. So they may need a second one at the site, but
I don't want a second one. I empty mine every day, if not every evening. And if I don't get it into the evening, I go over there in the morning and we empty it and pick the trash up and so forth. So, and we put it in our own dumpster, and that's just a part of it, because right now is so much takeout. And, there are some days that we're crazy busy and we may not get to it in the evening. And I know Danielle works evenings, and I'm sorry about that. But by the next morning, if it's overflowing when we set up our tables and so forth, we are definitely on top of that. I know that we're closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, and sometimes it's not us, it's other people like coming over from Stewart's and stuff and dropping stuff in there. So I just think that a second one would just cause more trouble, because we're really trying our hardest,
I appreciate that you like Marcus, you guys have been toting garbage on a regular basis for years, and it's well appreciated.
I mean, I go out there sometimes on a Friday or Saturday twice a day and empty that garbage can.
Wow.
Literally.
Yeah,
So-
I believe it. Just thought a second can might be helpful, but if it's not, then it can be a non-starter. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, I will ask this though, Bob, you did it in previous years, and I would be forever grateful if you could find time in your busy schedule to maybe clean the trash cans like you did sometime, because fly season is coming and bee season, and stuff gets stuck to the bottom. And I even try to line mine and pay for trash liners to keep all of the stuff from sticking to the bottom. But there are residues over the years, the year that has built up in those trash cans that could use a good cleaning. And I don't have like the hoses and stuff to get out there and do that. So I know you've done it in the past. So if you could ever find it in your time, I'd be forever grateful.
We'll keep an eye on it because they would have to be, we couldn't do it there. They'd have to be taken in. of course.
Yes, indeed, indeed. And you guys have done it in the past, or you've taken it and put one in and then taken them back and cleaned them, whatever. Just putting that out there.
Okay,
it would be-
keep an eye on it.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Any other questions or comments for Bob?
Just quickly, how long do you anticipate we're gonna be having the crushed stone by the leak repair as crushed stone? When do we end up having somebody come out and do the paving to restore that area by Valley Farm Road?
Well, it's got to settle. If you walk on it now, it'll just squish under your feet. So it's going to be weeks. I don't want to put blacktop on and then have the blacktop settle. So we've already removed the large barrels are removed. We put smaller cones so that it makes maneuvering a little bit easier there. But and we pressed it down again today, but it's still settling. You can feel it, especially with all this rain. We want it to settle, so it's very hard so that we're not wasting time paving it and then it starts to go down again.
Don't press it down too hard so it cracks that fixture.
I'd better not. Hopefully they did it correctly, so it won't do that. But it needs to. Yeah, it needs time to settle. It hasn't even been a week. So.
And just quickly, Bob, before it's just wanted to say we need to have another shade tree meeting, hopefully early next week if possible, to discuss some things. So if you're available the 14th through the 15th, and Kevin is, that would be something I'd like to try to pull off if we can. So just check your schedule and let me know, okay?
It would have to be the 15th or 16th.
15th, okay. I'll check with Kevin and see when he's available, but I'd like to get that done if possible.
Yeah, not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Any
Okay.
other question?
Yeah. Anything else for Bob? Okay, let's move on to water and sewer. I'm afraid to touch my screen, but has Scott shown up yet? Oh, there
I'm
he
here.
is. Okay, good. Okay, Scott, you've got the floor.
All right.
Well,
We'll
by
start
the
with-
way, before he starts, it was Memorial Day weekend. It never happens when you want it to, but it was a Sunday of Memorial Day weekend when there was that water main break that Bob was just talking about. And I can't thank VRI enough for what they did to, first off, isolate the fail, get a crew together from, who was the guy, Metzger's, I think it was?
Yes.
And come out there in the pouring rain and work long into the night. I think we were there past 9 o'clock. Mike and I stood out there as long as we could until we got too cold and too wet, but you guys were still there. And I just can't thank you enough for working until the job was done on the Sunday before Memorial Day to get that repaired. So thanks to VRI, Scott. I really appreciate what you guys did there.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, and just a shout out also to Officer Del Judas, who was also there that whole time directing traffic.
It was Officer Kelly.
Kelly, excuse me, out there the whole time doing that.
Yes.
So-
Actually, she extended her shift just to provide traffic control. So thanks for that as well. Okay, Scott, go ahead.
All right. All right. So for the month of May, for the water, we produced 5,955,774 gallons of water. Average daily flow was 192,100 gallons. Performed all maintenance and sampling for the month. Set up installation of a new water main valve over on Carroll Boulevard for the 16th and 17th of this month, which is next week. Worked on securing lower cost filters for our treatment plant. We've been successful. The filters I've received part of the order. Hopefully the rest will come in the next couple weeks. As we've all mentioned previously, there was a major water main break on Valley Farm in 44. I've estimated a loss of roughly 450,000 gallons of water.
Wow.
As Mike knows, the storage tank level was pretty low, because that affected residents up by the tank. So yeah, it was pretty bad, but it's all been fixed and everything's working now. Lastly, the water meters are scheduled to be read the week of the 21st of this month. And the only other thing I have for water, which could include multiple things, but I mentioned to Tim earlier today, notifying residents when issues happen, because there was several residents up on Valley Farm and elsewhere, and even I got calls directly regarding the water leak. We don't have any kind of a system to notify residents. But I know our office uses a system called Blackboard for other places that we operate. I know that, I believe they sent the information to Tim, Sarah, Nicole to review.
Yep.
Basically, it could be used for anything, even the highway department, the fire department, water department, to notify of anything that happens. As long as we have phone numbers, it's usually, I think you just type the message in and it'll go out as a robocall. There's a water leak on Valley Farm, and give updates and everything else. So it's something that you might want to look at. I don't know what it costs, but something that might be good for the entire village.
Yeah, we are going to look at that. We have gov.delivery. We of course have Facebook, we have Twitter. But I think the advantage of Blackboard, from discussion with Joe, is that you can target, you can send this notice out to the exact, street that's affected. The
Right.
exact set of customers who are being affected by the water shutdown. So you can very, very, very
That
accurately
would be-
target your.
That would be very helpful when paving roads also.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's multiple things you could do, because even when we've done fire hydrants, even though I hand deliver messages, or like when I was flushing hydrants, we posted it all over, but people still called because they didn't know. And I can't go door to door in the entire village all the time. When we're
Right.
doing hydrants, it's just a street or two.
Mhm.
So something like this system would be beneficial across the board, I believe.
All right, so we're gonna look at it with the information that Joe gave us. It looks like we'll have to talk to a sales rep to actually get a price quote, and we'll see we'll go from there. All right.
Sure.
The police department would like in on that also. It sounds very beneficial.
All right. I'll be deducting from each of your budgets to fund this. So thanks for your support.
Scott, do you know what caused the leak on Valley Farm Road?
Well, the leak was an old repair that we did 10 years ago. And apparently the bolts rusted and they broke. So, unfortunately, you can't prevent something like that, but,
And when something like that happens, we have to worry about contamination or anything like that to our village water, and how does that?
now, yeah, when in this case, the water was coming out the entire time, so it was under pressure.
Uh,
So they did the leak under, minimal pressure, but when the water coming out, to prevent anything getting back in. That's typically how, if we can do that, we'll do that. That way it prevents anything getting back into the.
Well, that's good news. Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're welcome.
Although when you do shut the system down, to isolate the leak and then turn it back on, there's always turbulence that causes, the dirty water for a time period, right?
Yeah, and typically what we'll do is, and I know they did this on Valley Farm, is once they get it repaired and turn things back on, they'll open up a hydrant to flush as much out as possible. Because when you put that water back on, it rushes through the pipe. It's just like flushing a hydrant. It scours the pipe the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So we open that up and try to clean it out as best we can.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Scott regarding water?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, over at the sewer plant for the month of May, total effluent flow was 4,518,552 gallons. Average daily flow was 145,760 gallons. Precipitation, 5.9 inches. Performed all monthly maintenance and sampling. Repaired clarifier number 1 back in service and working fine. We cleaned the filter beds. And as I mentioned last month, I have an EPA inspection scheduled for the 15th, which is Tuesday.
Do you need a rep like me or Mike from the village to be at that inspection?
I don't need one, but you are certainly welcome. I don't know how I believe she told me it's going to take a few hours.
What
but-
time do you anticipate them arriving, Scott?
I believe, I didn't write it on my calendar. I believe she's going to be here at 9.
Okay.
I think that's what I have.
So Mike, you're gonna go?
Yes,
Yeah,
I should be able to go. I don't have anything on my calendar, so I
All right.
can arrange to be there.
Yeah, I have it in my phone as 9 to 12.
Okay.
Any questions for Scott regarding the sewer report? Okay, good. Thanks, Scott.
You're welcome.
So stay on water. One new thing is this new connection request. I should have put a chart together to put on the screen here, but I don't have one. But I did send an email to the trustees. The background here is there's a request from a person up on Maple Hill Drive, which is outside of the village, to apply for a new hookup for water and sewer. Maple Hill Drive is a subdivision that was developed many years ago. And when it was developed, the developer put in the water and sewer lines, and Mayor Hurley at the time pre-approved hookup for the water and sewer systems for those lots. And a variety of them are already hooked up. I think there's actually a mixture, because when I run up there, I see some places have got wells and some places have got water meter shutoffs there towards their front. So it must be a mixture going on. So there's a request from a person, actually it's Howard Schuman, his son, to get the right to hook up a new lot, which hasn't been developed, hasn't been built yet, for water and sewer. And so the question in front of the board is, one, do we agree to this? Certainly is my recommendation that we do, since it's been pre-approved by a prior administration. And the second question is, what are the fees that we charge to be able to hook this up when it happens in the future? So first off, to the board, is there any question or concerns, comments about the request for the hookup?
No.
Everyone's okay with this?
I'm okay.
Leslie?
Yes.
I'm okay with it.
Okay, good. So then the question of the fees. So I sent you an email, which was based on a discussion that Mike and I had, and we referred this to Delaware Engineering, Bill Bright specifically, for a proposal for what the rates should be. And I included in the email that I sent to the board what the recommendation is, and specifically is the following. For the application fee, for water hookup would be $500 plus a $500 bond. And for sewer hookup would be $500 plus a $500 bond, for a total of $2,000. Once the homeowner or the lot gets developed and the homeowner is ready to do a hookup, then we would charge an additional $6,270 for water and $6,270 for sewer hookup. And this is based on the current rates for town uses of water and sewer, and using estimates that were used back when we did the hookup for Greenbrier, assuming a certain number of gallons per person times the number of bedrooms in the house. Is how we got to the $6,270. And on top of that, there would be a $5,000 escrow required for any village or VRI related inspections, administrative costs, anything else like that. So does the board have a concern, any questions about the rates, what we would charge the applicant? Which would be in two stages, by the way. The first would be the application fees that would be required upfront right away. And the escrow as well as the connection fees would be once we are ready to do the connection, which would be sometime in the future. It's undefined yet when that might happen. Any questions or concerns about the proposed fees?
I have a question. Do
Yes.
we know how they arrived at those, each set of fees?
Yes,
Is it based on VRI's costs?
it's
or-
based on, I'll do it for you right now. The total of water and sewer cost for a town resident is $19 times 110 gallons per person per day is the typical usage, times the number of bedrooms, we assume 3 bedrooms. So that's so the 6270 is for a 3-bedroom house.
So it's not necessarily a flat rate that we would charge a commercial business.
No. This is different. This is for a homeowner. And as I said, this would change if it takes 5 years for the person to actually build and get ready for the hookup. If our town rate for water plus sewer went from $19 to $25, the charge would go up proportionally. Okay?
Is this does this sound like Scott, like commensurate to other villages and towns for hookups?
Yes, when the rates were established for Greenbrier, it was the first time that we had done an out of area, out of our geographic jurisdiction for any kind of a hookup. And at the time, we asked Bill Bright, this is back in 2017, to look into other jurisdictions where they allow residents out of their geographic area to be able to use the facilities and be able to draw water. So he went to all of the different areas of Dutchess County, looking at doing research, and came up with these figures as being consistent with what other areas charge for out of jurisdiction connections. It's
And
not,
commercial is definitely different than residential.
yes, and
Because
that's
Greenbrier is commercial where Howard is residential.
That's right.
well, the difference was simply in what Greenbrier paid had a lot to do with the amount of residents they had and the expectation of how much water they would use and then process with sewer. It had nothing to do with with
Nature.
a commercial rate and a residence rate. It's simply, and I'll call it a out of jurisdiction rate, because you're not a village resident, and therefore there's a different.
Yeah, so in my mind, there's two things here. When we had the Greenbrier issue, in my mind, it was basically a health issue that the village was able to rescue Greenbrier. They had a major problem. It was a Department of Health issue, and we basically helped them out, and we made them pay for it. What's going on here with the Maple Hill Drive is the pre-approval by a prior administration to allow this to happen. In general, we village need to be very protective of our water and sewer rights.
No, absolutely, I agree.
It's only on an exception basis. And by the way, we are doing this because it's been pre-approved.
Yes.
By the way, as we do this for people who are not in the village, we have people in the village who do not have water and sewer. Okay, which is on my list of things we need to tackle in the upcoming years. But let's never forget the fact that not all the people in the village get water and sewer.
Yeah.
And it's something we should address as soon as we possibly can. Okay.
Right.
So that's why these fees that I've outlined to you and was included in the email I sent
Yep.
are basically the best estimates we received from Delaware Engineering. But let's face it, it's really our call as the Board of Trustees, what rates we want to charge. Okay. And so therefore, I'd like to know if there's any objections to that. If there aren't, what I want to do is give the trustees another month to ponder this question, whatever, and we'll bring a resolution to the board meeting in July to formally accept this, if you're all in agreement. Okay?
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Sounds good.
Okay. Leslie, you okay?
Yes.
Okay. And Vicky?
Yes.
All right, very good. Thank you. We'll move on then. Oh, first off, Howard, I think Howard is here. Any comments from Howard, who is the applicant?
Well, yes, in a way. Thank you, Tim, for giving me a chance to comment. I think I'm a unique situation. Greenbrier was not part of the original flange that was pre-approved. I was, and I can't see anybody else on that, except maybe Skip Safari, who pre-approved that this would apply to. So I would like to look at it that way, that there's not a danger of, by letting me and my son actually come in at the regular rates that people get to connect, plus all the other bonding fees and so on. It's not going to encourage anybody else to do that because there's nobody else that's pre-approved, and these would all have to be individual cases coming forward. Now, I'll respect whatever you guys decide to do. I don't want to ruin it for my son by
Okay.
comment, but it is a unique situation because that pre-approvals go back to the 1989, 1990 period. There's nobody else in the town or the town who this is going to apply to at all. So it's a lot of money for him, is what I'm saying. And if you still decide to do that, he's satisfied with that. He'll respect what you do. But this is my comment. Maybe we could work out something that is a little less expensive for him. But whatever it is, thank you very much for your help on this and considering this.
Okay. You had me until you said maybe, Skip Safari.
Say again?
You had me about this is the last one until you said maybe, Skip Safari.
Yeah,
It's just-
I look at that. We're on that same list for Laura Hurley.
I know, and we cannot assume this is the last one, okay?
Well, the last one on that list, we can assume that that list goes way back, so we can assume that much at least. But whatever
Okay.
you decide, I just wanted to say that it's not going to encourage any new people to come in because there's no more pre-approvals. That's
Well,
my own comment.
I take issue with that, Howard, because there are 7 vacant lots up there to our knowledge, which would have the same pre-approval status. And therefore, if any one of them was built on, they would have the same ability to turn around. And I personally would feel compelled from a moral standpoint to give them the same treatment we're giving your son. I wouldn't.
No, that's fine. I said, I'm not
Yeah,
going to
so-
argue one way or the other. I'm just
Yeah.
supplying information. I'll respect whatever you guys decide in the end.
And plus, I can verify that I do see capped wells up there when I run around that block. So there are people who are using wells that could also turn around and say, I'm pre-approved.
No, they're not pre-approved. That's the whole point.
Well, they aren't on the list if they're on that block?
No,
They're on-
these were the properties that were originally approved when the line was put in. It was for those properties, those 15 to 18 acres that Skip bought.
Oh, okay, so it's a subset
So
of
the other
of
people
houses that are on
were
that
either
block.
there already
Okay,
previously, predating this actually in most cases. All of his properties that he had the option to connect when he sold them off. The ones that you're looking at
yeah.
that's an old section of town.
Oh,
So
okay, fine.
those are older buildings that probably what you're seeing is the caps and stuff coming up out of the ground there.
Okay, fine. I'm still not going to assume this is the last one.
Whatever you guys decide is what I'm saying.
Okay, good.
I'm just bringing you a little more background information.
Any more comments? I'm going to double your rate if you bring up anything else. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, thanks, Howard. Let's move on to the treasury
Thank you,
report.
Tim.
You're welcome. Sarah?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I just want to say good evening, everybody, and Happy New Year as we are into our new fiscal year.
All right.
For the month of May, the ending totals for the 4 main accounts, we have tax account $16,726.12.
Good start.
General fund, $370,217.30. Water, $73,000 $48,822.30, and sewer fund $47,021.56. So you guys should have gotten a link for the monthly operating statement, and you'll have a May and a June, I believe you guys saw. As far as the bank, we did combine the Haight Trust, Lamont Trust, and the Nine Partners Trust into one account. We titled it HLN Trust, just so we can kind of keep track of it. And so you'll see that in the next month's report, just that one account. Closed the Village Hall Restoration account, and again, you'll see that in the next month report.
That's because we used all the money out of that to pay for the fix on the roof on the back of the hall.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, good. Very good.
So I was working with Mary from Delaware on the Dutchess County grant so that we can close that out. I compiled all that she requested from us, and I submitted it to her early this week. So she is to send that out to Dutchess County, and I should hear something probably by the end of the week that it's been sent and hopefully approved. So that's what I have for that.
Very good. So, and by the way, that's for the rest of the board. That's to get our final $19,000 from Dutchess County towards the Bedrock Well account, right?
Correct.
Okay, good.
So it's also that time of year where we're starting to do the annual update document, better known as the AUD. And so Karen, our senior account clerk, and we are starting to do that prep work for that. Mailed out taxes on the 28th of May, and to that effect, we've collected to date $128,135.29.
Okay.
So that's about all I have for Treasurer's Report.
Any questions for Sarah regarding the Treasurer's Report?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, before you go on to the building report, I'd love to show the operating expense report, but if I touch this computer, something's going to go haywire. So let me just tell the trustees, request that they look at the operating expense report. I'm talking about the one that's for the period ending 5/31. As she said, she gave you two reports. One is for last fiscal year ending 5/31, and one for the new fiscal year, which is, just starting off, so not much value with that. But anyway, I'm very happy about the fact that if you look at that report, you'll see that, and again, we are, as much as we can say, near the end, but we are, for the A fund, for the general fund, we have revenues of 1.88 million and expenses of 1.85 million, which means there's a surplus of $30,000 to the good as we've near closed the fiscal year for the A fund. And as you all know, back in December or so, we had a real rude awakening when we thought that we were on a cataclysmic ride to end up seriously in the red. And I'm happy to report that as of today, anyway, with the latest operating expense report, we are 30,000 to the green. So I want to thank all the department heads for what they did in the last 6 months to drive this down and make it a success. Also in this operating expense report, you can see that the water fund, the F fund, finishes with a surplus of $58,000. And again, thanks to VRI for all their management of that operation and allowing us to pay back to the general fund the money that was owed from the water fund. And the sewer fund, the G fund, shows you a operation in the black of 64,000, revenues exceeding expenses, which again allowed us to pay back to the A fund the monies that was owed by the sewer fund. So in general, the operating expense report, which has a lot of puts and takes, pluses and minuses, but if you look at the totals, it's a really good report. I'm very happy with what we've done here. So kudos to the department heads, and of course to the clerk and Sarah and Nicole, and of course Karen, for making this into a very positive story. Now, Karen has cautioned me this is not the final yet. There could be some things still coming in, although I've been badgering you guys about any more big things coming. I've never gotten anything back yet, so I'm hoping that this is going to be very much to the final. And so I'm very happy with this as they start their annual update report that they got to file with the state controller. Any questions about that operating expense report? Again, I encourage all the trustees to go through it. Leslie and I went through the old one, so now she's an expert. Any questions you got, just refer them to Leslie. She'll take care of that for you.
That's a
But,
good plan.
That's a good plan. But good job. Let's see. Okay, go ahead, Sarah.
All right, for building department for
Oh, no,
May,
wait. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Wait, before you go there, I'm sorry.
that's all right.
Is Bob Cole still on?
Yes, he is.
All right, so I got some bad news as far as the new budget. So good job on last year's stuff. I got some bad news on the new budget. We found that there were $33,000 requested by Bob that didn't make it into the final budget. All right, so we have this hole of $33,000 we've got to fill. The details are murky. Between Bob and I think we owe a lot of responsibility. Have not checked our numbers over. But the fact of the matter is we are where we are. And it was in the detailed unlayering that was done to provide Bob some new categories to put in his supplies in the central garage, to put in new categories in the streets contractual expenses. And I can show you all the details, but the bottom line, it totals up to $33,000. So we need to work on what we're going to do to try to cut that delta. I need Bob to go back and scrub his numbers as much as possible, starting with the $5,500 for the new plow. I'm going to put that on hold, but also ask if he can go seek whether that's CHIPS refund eligible. But I want that resolved before you go buy the new plow. And as far as the other things, Bob, we're going to show a zero budget for those 6 categories. You bill against them, and we're going to keep an eye on all throughout the year and see if we can't find savings across the entire budget to compensate for that. All right. But I do want you to be heads up first on the list to work on what you can do to minimize your expenditures.
Well, I'm not happy with that because
Okay.
when we had our budget meeting on Zoom,
Yeah.
that money was all there and approved. And somehow whoever put those things in, whoever keyed those in, left them out. So how did $33,000 that got initially approved disappear? Where did it, if it was approved originally and it was there,
Yeah.
and it wasn't added to any of my other categories, why was it cut out? I mean, these were essential items. These weren't.
Yeah, that's right. And all I'll tell you is that when we had the final review or the roll up of the budget, they weren't there either. Okay. And neither you nor I nor anybody else caught that. And we should have, and that's what it is. All right.
Well, I guess, but it doesn't answer my question.
Well, I don't know. And to tell you the truth, it doesn't really matter. I mean, we need to do something better next year. I don't know what it is yet, but here we are. So it is what it is. All right.
Yeah.
So you're not happy with it. I'm not happy with it either, but it is what it is. All right. So that's what we're going to do, though. We're just going to show a zero budget and you bill against it. All right.
Yeah. What else can I do?
That's right. There's nothing else we can do. Any questions from the trustees about what I just discussed? And this may be a record for having, find something like this 2 weeks into the new year, but it is what it is. Okay. All right. Okay, if there's no questions on that, and Bob expressed his frustration, and I'm right behind him on that, but that's where we are. Go ahead, Sarah.
Okay, for building department, May 2021, we collected a total of $1,825. And I apologize, the numbers aren't correct on this side. It should read 5 building permits, 1 certificate of compliance, that's correct, 3 municipal searches, and there are no meetings for June for either planning board or zoning board. That's all I have.
Any questions about the building report?
No.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. So, Ian, are you on and do you have anything to report for
I
attorney?
am on. I don't have anything to report. Just waiting on Thorn Building, still waiting, to schedule closing on that.
We all are, and I've got no update for the Thorn Building closing. For our discussion I had with George Whalen yesterday. No update. I'll let you know as soon as I hear. Okay,
But
thanks, Ian. By the way, Sarah will be putting together a resolution for this new connection request. We'll probably run that by you before we have the review at the next meeting, all right?
sounds good.
Any questions for Ian? All right, let's go back to the agenda. Old business status, sidewalks. As we reported, Mike and I met with Rich Rennie and his engineer about the engineering sizing for how we should proceed with and what the estimated cost would be for replacing the sidewalks. We've got no update from Rich. I asked Ken to give him a call and find out where we are with that. So we're waiting for him to give us a date for the report. The tennis court resurfacing, I'm just overwhelmed with the response for donations to people, to the tennis court. Sarah, do we have an update? Is that the updated thermometer?
Yes, it is.
That
So
is
you can see,
fantastic.
you can see we've broken $21,000 towards our goal of 25,000. Oh, there it is, 22,196.
Fantastic.
It is, and a lot to be said, I think, for Vicky, when you got us hooked into the PayPal. Seems like people were using the PayPal thing as you had projected, so that's done very well. We've had some very significant contributions from a few, but a lot of just $100, $200 contributions, so very nice.
People love their credit cards, and I knew that.
All right.
But one of them.
Maybe there's something to be said there. Now, related to that, I had a phone call with the Unionville supervisor, Betsy Moss. She was calling just to say hello, but she also said that she had heard about our donation project because one of her residents actually had sent an email to many, many people in Unionville saying, hey, you should contribute to this. And she said they're having their courts resurfaced over in Timor Park. And so she's going to ask the guy who's going to do that work to come take a look at ours and give us a quote. And so I need to hook up with Mindy because I want her to be in the loop for this discussion as well. But things are moving right along there. The contributions are getting close to the projected goal. And we've got some local interest in actually doing the work. So thanks to everybody for publicizing that and for actually making contributions. The third item on the old business is the gazebo. And as you recall, Mike and I went to a meeting with the school district, and there was a discussion about who owns the gazebo. And so I asked Brian Houston to do a marked survey for us. We split the cost. It cost us $740. The village cost $740, and the school district is paying the other $740 to get a marked survey. The results were very interesting. It showed that the village only owns the tennis courts and a small patch, I guess, giving us access to Maple Avenue, right, Bob?
Yes.
Which meant that we owned 0 of the gazebo. So anyway, I'll need to follow up with Brian at the school district to find out what the next step is. Any questions about that? We have maps available in the office if you want to actually see it, and I gave actually a color-coded map to Bob just for his use in filing. So that's the status of the gazebo. Any other new, old business to bring up to discuss, not on the agenda? All right, new business is the code update. So I sent the trustees a proposal. The basic process I want to go through for the code update is we've got some housekeeping to take care of. I'd like to do that first. And then I want to go through category by category to update the individual sections of the code, like water and sewer, then highway, then police, then the zoning. Probably that's the categories. We're going to do it kind of in that order, since zoning will be last, since that'll be the most horrendous one to work on. And water and sewer will be first, because Scott's already done some good work to make a good proposal of what that'll look like. So given that, the housekeeping part starts up. Now, I sent an email out to the trustees. Any comments or questions about my proposal on the housekeeping?
I do have one question.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's better directed to you or to Mike. Why are we eliminating the ethics provisions and substituting something new? Is there a specific problem with it, or?
Let me take that. Mike, you can jump in afterwards.
Sure.
Evidently, a few years ago, New York State sent out this directive for municipalities to update their ethics code. And I think Mike was leading the charge to do that, and made an update to the ethics code, but it never got put in the actual code. All right. I don't know why. It was years ago. Anyway, but what I want to do is, we now have a chapter 15 in the code, and I want to do the same thing with ethics that we did with procurement, which is to state in the code that we have an ethics code, and it is posted on the village website under policies. And that we will, on an annual basis, review it and update it as we see fit at our annual organization meeting. What this does is it allows the board to make modifications to the policy, whether it be procurement, ethics, or anything else, with a resolution and just basically an approval by the board, as opposed to going through the entire process of basically changing the law, which is quite cumbersome. All right.
You don't know off the top of your head the difference between what we have in the code and what we currently have in the policy?
That's
I
for
read
Mike.
it briefly, but I couldn't tell.
Mike?
Well, basically, what was in they were using, meaning the board was using, when I joined in 2012, had not been revised since the 70s. And therefore, when I went to my first NICOM conference, Laura asked me to get a hold of some of the lawyers from NICOM and sit down and see if they had some kind of a template, as well as recommendations on how we could revise what was there from the 70s and create something that was more in tune with what was going on in 2013, which is what I did. But when it was adopted by motion, and it was never made as a resolution, and therefore never made it into the code. And when we started going through the code, and we had it reviewed by Josh and talked about the ethics, he was saying, well, it really is not illegal. It's not legal at this point because it was not made into a law. It has to be, we have to have it as either a policy or a law or whatever the process is. So you have to go through a review and take what you did and, and make sure that it meets guidelines, which apparently NICOM thought it was fine in 2013, but I'm more than willing to have everybody read it and look at today's standards, which in 2020, I don't believe are that different, and see if it passes muster, and then make whatever revisions you want.
So
But that's
Vicky,
why
does
we're
that,
going through the process.
yeah, so Vicky, does that make sense from a procedural point of view, what we're gonna do?
So I just want to be clear. So neither the code nor the current policy reflects this third thing that you want us to review and determine if it is consistent with current state law?
No,
Okay,
no.
First off, there's only two things. There's nothing in the policy today. Okay.
Well, I just went on the website today and there was something called ethics forms, which actually talked about our ethical obligations. So I know we probably all did sign those forms when we got elected. But I don't know how they're inconsistent with what's currently in the code,
Well,
or
what,
how they
what,
would be inconsistent with the law.
no, what you're talking about is something we sign every year, which is a, for lack of a better term, conflict of interest form, which basically says that every year you agree that you don't have a conflict of interest of any personal nature with anything that's going to be decided on as part
Correct.
of our business. And that's the only thing that's in the code now. So that whole policy that I put together and the board voted on is not in the code. It's just kind of in this amorphous state of being policy, but since it was never went through the code process as a law, it needs to be, either adopted as a law, the way we've done things to put them in the code, or simply say, this is what our policy is going to be concerning ethics for the board. And that's, as I said, this was something that Paul Albany was extremely insistent on back in 2013. And that's something we did as a board, but apparently it doesn't qualify as a law. We didn't go through the process of what we have to do it as a law.
So for example, in the ethics policy that Mike has, that hasn't been codified yet, there is an ethics board, right? In other words, if there's an ethics complaint, there's a board identified that's supposed to go and review this and report back to the trustees. That's something that we ought to, on an annual basis, review, update, make sure that the participants are still active. If not, make modifications to that. That's something that requires that you want to be able to do through the organizational meeting on an annual basis. You don't want to have to go and do a code update every year when you make a slight change to the policy. All right. That's why I want to do the same thing here as we do with procurement, which is pull the details out, put it in our website, and have the code only reference the fact that we have a ethics policy and it's on our website.
Is the ethics policy
And that
on the
would satisfy
website?
the state law.
I'm sorry, Leslie, go ahead.
Is the ethics policy currently on the website? Because I couldn't find it.
No.
No.
Okay.
The only
There
ethics
is-
policy.
There is
policy we have
something there. If you look, it's just not called that.
Okay. The only ethics policy we can actually refer to is the one that's in the code, which is out of date. All right. So let me suggest this, Mike. Can you send out to the trustees the version of the ethics policy that you put together for everyone to review?
I should be able to, as long as it's in the office in terms of on the computers there that they can then share. If not, I can go through files and come up with a copy and then have it electronically sent to the trustees.
Where do you think it is in the office?
Well, this was passed in 2013, so it's in the archives, but that's something Sarah would be better prepared to answer than me.
Sarah, do you know about that?
I'm sorry, I do not.
Actually, I think, Mike, when we first started this code thing a couple of years ago, I think I got a copy from you. I might have it myself. Hang on, I'll look that up.
Okay.
All right, so that's how I want to proceed on ethics. But I'll first make sure everyone gets a chance to look at that proposed code before we do anything with changing the code that's actually in the ethics code that's in chapter 15 of the village code. What about the other things I proposed? Things like taking out chapters that talk about bingo and games. The reason why I want to do that is just because we have a process which requires, approval of people who gather together. What's that called? What's that form? The meeting.
The public assembly.
Public assembly, thank you. And I think that covers it. So does anyone have a problem with us actually removing those chapters on bingo and games?
No.
So the solid waste, that's for the residential, when it was back in the day, you go to.
That goes back in the day when we used to sell, the village used to sell bags. You had to buy a bag, and that's what you used to put out for pickup. That no longer is relevant. And likewise,
I think that you still have, I mean, I've asked this before, and I still think you have to review something with the commercial business owners and them having dumpsters for their tenants and so forth. I mean, I saw someone the other day who owns a building and a commercial building, and they were stuffing trash in our village trash cans.
but that's a violation of the littering law. The littering law, I forget what chapter that is.
But if you
says
don't have something stated in the code of what a commercial landlord needs to provide, what's stopping them from providing nothing? Like if I didn't have a dumpster, what would I do with all of my commercial trash?
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I guess I'll check to see, but that's probably part of your approval of the building permit.
I don't think so.
No?
No.
All right.
I think we just need to review that because there's, I know that there's a neighbor of mine who has several tenants, does not provide a dumpster. Where are they putting their trash? I had to install cameras because I was getting people literally dumping trash that were not tenants into my dumpster. I mean,
All right.
it's something that needs to be addressed because I'm not the only one who's having this problem. And if you own a commercial building, you should have to provide some kind of container for your tenants to put their refuge in, even if the tenants that's included in their rent.
Yeah, that's a question for Kevin.
Where are they going to dump that?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that needs to be, I don't know if you just want to delete that without addressing that issue.
Well, I'll ask Ken McLaughlin because I assume it's covered somewhere else, but let's first see.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions about what I proposed for the first step of the code update?
No, this is, we've gone over a lot of the code already and have identified what is, language that's no longer relevant, and that's kind of where we're going with that. So I think, I think that, this is just kind of cleaning house and getting rid of stuff that we don't really need. Buffy's comment is right on target in that as we identify problems like what do we do with our garbage, maybe we need to come up with something that is more practical and could be part of the code, but it's almost like a different issue entirely.
Yeah. Well, I think it's probably going to be referred in another chapter besides the solid waste chapter, but let's check and see. I'll ask Ken.
Yeah, I've scoured it and I never found anything, but if you'll ask Ken, that'll be great. But overall, I think you did a good job of eliminating and cleaning up some of the stuff. So I agree with most of it.
Any other questions or comments? All right, the next step is I have to get with Sarah to find out just what is the procedure for us to make code updates. I forgot since the last time we did it, so we'll start there. All right.
Okay.
All right, moving on. Now it's time for public comments. Anyone on the call in the public that wants to make a comment?
Yes, Tim, Howard.
Yes, Howard.
As most of you know, not everybody, I attended quite a few of your meetings over the years, and this is the first one I've attended actually from beginning to end on Zoom, and I am quite impressed that you're still functioning almost at the same rate and getting a lot of things done efficiently. So it was kind of an interesting experience for me to do this, and kind of looking forward, of course, when you get back to real live stuff. But I'd like to say this was very impressive, the amount of work you got done over Zoom.
All right, very good. Thanks, Howard. Appreciate that.
I've been here a lot, so I know what I'm not just saying this casually. This was very, very impressive.
All right, very good. I do.
Thank you, Howard.
I do miss having your recorder right next to me here, recording every word I say, but other than that.
Yeah, those were the good old days.
Well, we're gonna get back there. Anyone else in the public want to make a comment? Okay, let's move on to board member updates. Deputy Mayor Mike.
Okay, I'll just go through the activities that I was part of since our last meeting. I attended a CAC meeting on on June 2nd. We discussed multiple properties, none with implications for anything concerning village water or anything that we'd have to be concerned with. We did find out that there's a hospitality committee looking into the town comprehensive plan concerning potential changes to the town comprehensive plan in reference to overnight lodging facilities within the town borders. I believe Buffy's on that committee, and that's going to be ongoing, and that's going to be continuing, and hopefully hear what they have to say once they've looked at the issues. I attended a meeting at the library on June 1st. This was put on as a series of meetings called on by the library, 5 of them, where the librarian asked to open up the meeting for any residents just to discuss issues on the town or village level. So I attended on June 1st. And some of the different things that were discussed were the need for more recreational opportunities for youth, the Thorn Building, preservation of water supply and our resources, especially our tree canopy, more info opportunities concerning local events for the lack of a local Millbrook roundtable type newspaper. And finally, the importance of historical aspect of the town and the village and ways it has to be continued to be promoted. There'll be 2 more of these meetings going on Friday, June 11th, and one on Saturday, June 12th. And when all of the meetings are done, all of the discussions are going to be put in one form and then given to us at the village and to the town and to other organizations to try to distribute so that it may turn into making sure it becomes a community forum for things that should be addressed in the future. So I'd encourage anybody who has time to call the library and get times, but Friday, June 11th and Saturday, June 12th are the last 2 in the series. Third, I attended a shade tree meeting on May 28th with Bob Colacola and Kevin McGrain. We are the current members. We discussed issues concerning trees, stump grinding, tree trimming along Franklin Avenue, developing a list of possible trees that might need to be removed so they could be shared and viewed by members of the Shade Tree Commission. Talked about the kind of trees being planted that Bob mentioned during his report and their watering requirements going forward, and also the location of a tree that would be planted by a group of Millbrook alumni in mid-June and where that could be done. So that's the Shade Tree Commission does need another meeting to discuss some concern brought up by some residents on trees within the village, and we're going to do that hopefully as soon as possible, maybe even as early as next week. June 2nd, there was also a review.
Wait, so Mike, also the Shade Tree Committee has got to come together and revamp or update the Shade Tree policy, right? So we get that
Right.
agreed
That's
by
what I
the
was-
board and posted on the website.
Right, well, that's part of what I was saying. We have to be able to discuss some of the issues and policies on some of the different things from the Shade Tree Commission, and then and do that, and so it can be posted. Let's see, June 2nd, I took a tour and did a review of village facilities with the mayor, with county representatives to assess any safety concerns within all of our village buildings, including the firehouse, highway garage, village building, village town hall, as well as the water treatment plant. I was on site at late Sunday afternoon on right before Labor Day for the repair of the leak on Valley Farm Road. Kudos to everybody involved because it was a difficult situation and a lot of nasty weather to deal with. And finally received an approval from the county officials to proceed with a fall application for sidewalk repair funding through the handicap access grant. We'll contact county officials so we can proceed if we're granted an award for 2022.
Good. Any questions for Mike? All right, thanks. Trustee Vicky.
Just a couple of things. I met with Karen McLaughlin and Sarah Witt to develop the plan and template for the asset management inventory, so we can start gathering that information as soon as possible, and with an eye toward also having it convenient for annual updates. So we'll have very shortly have forms and a fixed asset policy for you all to review before we can get that out to the department heads. I've been continuing to monitor dispersal of the American Rescue Act funds to the village. Apparently, the guidelines have in fact been issued by the Treasury Department for non-entitlement entities, which guess what we are. It's a little bit of an unwieldy process till they get it in order, because it involves the digesting of the guidelines, the federal government guidelines, by the State Department of Budget, who is then going to coordinate with the Controller's Office to get the first tranche of the money out to the localities, like ourselves. And I've been told not to expect to see any funds before this fall. They do have 60 days, unless they ask for an extension, to get the money out after the guidelines are issued. So we're now the clock is in fact ticking. So that's that. We are in the pipeline for the funding. It's also, there's some haggling going on about how the funding is going to be divided. So I know we have an estimate, but that's not a final number. The county money, based on the email, Tim, you sent around today, is going out already, and they are or planning to go out very quickly. They are going to implement part of their plan through legislation on the 14th of June. I think it pays for us to monitor what they're doing there, because they apparently are adding to their infrastructure funding to localities within the county. They're also, and again, that you all have the email, so it's pretty broadly written, but they're also saying that they're going to allocate some money to public safety equipment. So those are all things that bear watching. Like Mike and like some of my other colleagues, I did participate in one of the library conversations this week, and I did find it very lively and informative. The librarian, Courtney Sahalis, as Mike had said, has plans to compile the data that she's collected and organize it by themes. And some of the themes that she said dominated all of the sessions so far are environmental sustainability, promotion of visitorship in the village to sustain the businesses, leadership and volunteerism, and socially and economically integrating all of our residents, including the new ones and those that maybe have not been visibly part of our economy and the social events here. She said that there will be a report that she'll make available in various ways so that the community has easy access to it. What she did mention is, though there are only 2 more sessions posted, of maybe doing targeted sessions for instance, Buffy with the MBA, and other organizations, maybe the trusts. So I would keep an eye out for that if you're interested. And Jared mentioned the ride along that I'm going to do tomorrow, which I certainly am very interested in it, looking forward to doing it, because I both better want to understand the challenges our department faces on the street, but also to experience a bit more firsthand some of the ways that community policing can be so gratifying to the police. So that's my report.
Good. Any questions for Vicky? Okay, trustee Buffy.
Good evening. I don't have much. I did go back into my calendar and I did confirm that Community Day is happening and it is September 18th. So the MBA will be hosting Community Day on September 18th. And I have been doing a lot of research on the body cameras that Mike has asked me to do for the police reform with help from Vicky. And I'm sort of compiling a lot of stuff to maybe have a meeting with Jared and Mike about that, just to get their input. I've reached out to other villages just to sort of see what they have been doing in that aspect. And that's about it.
All right, good. Any update on the charging stations for electric vehicles?
I don't think we've had much movement on that, Vicky. Have we on the charging stations?
I don't have anything new to report.
Okay, fine. Just want to make sure we don't forget about that because that's a great idea. I don't know if we can make that happen.
Chime in on,
Okay,
can I
trustee.
chime in on the charging station?
Yeah, Bob, go ahead.
Mike from Millbrook Electric is certified to install charging stations. He went to school for it, and he has been doing charging stations at people's houses and in some communities. So if there are any, he is willing to speak to us about if there's any negatives, positives, or whatever. He volunteered himself.
Oh, good.
Mike
All right.
Schultz. That's Mike Schultz with Millbrook Electric.
All
I
right.
think one of our main challenges is actually finding a location that someone will commit to. Because like Vicky has mentioned before, that the Thorn Trust owns a lot of the parking lots, Stewart's, all these are privately owned. So we really have to get them involved to get someone committed to put these charging stations there. And then we could probably move forward from there. Because until we have a spot, you know what I mean?
All right. But it's a good reference. If we can use local help to install, that'd be great.
Yeah, really
All
good.
right. Thanks, Bob. All right, trustee Leslie, any update?
Not too much yet. I did attend, similar to Vicky and Mike, a library session. I attended via Zoom. Unfortunately, it doesn't sound like it was well attended like the other two, but there was discussion similar to what was said about kind of compiling all the information. And then it sounded like they wanted to meet with the different community organizations to kind of share, with the MBA what was found, with the rec what was found, and to hopefully build them and kind of give them feedback. So hopefully that will be informative in the future.
All right, good. Thanks, Leslie. Okay, so mayor update, just two things on my mind. First off, the comments that Vicky said about the American Rescue Plan. In the bi-weekly meeting with Mark Molinaro, our county supervisor, he said the county's focus is going to be on about 5 different things: high-speed internet access, improved recreation availability, and also he said debt service reduction in some county parks, public safety, like Vicky mentioned. He was talking about updating the radio system, the emergency radio system, they've got as one of their key focuses for public safety. Infrastructure updates, like Vicky said. And he also said dedicating money towards helping homelessness in Dutchess County. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Their 4 or 5 point focus for what the county needs to or wants to do with the American Rescue Funds that they get. But as Vicky said, we as a village have no idea what or when we're going to get our money. And so she said maybe the fall. Okay, that's a good place to start talking about it. That's we'll get it when we get it, I guess is all I can say. The other thing on my mind is that Sarah sent me this email from what do they call it? Rebuilding Together Dutchess County. Used to be Habitat for Humanity. You did these Christmases in April. Remember that? I used to work on these when I was working at IBM. So they're asking for applications for people who want to have the Rebuilding Together Dutchess County come and work on their house for a couple of days, for a weekend, kind of, to fix up their home and to allow people to stay in their homes as long as they wish. Of course, this is focused towards people who are low income or elderly, and they're taking applications starting now through September 30th. And there's a form that you need to apply if you're interested. So pass the word around. We'll figure out how to publicize that, maybe through the newsletter for our local residents. But if there are people who are, interested, or you think might be interested, mention it to them and have them contact the office. We can hook them up with the website or the form they need to fill out. It's got to be done by September 30th. Any questions about that?
Can you share the link with the rest of us?
Sure. Actually, I'll forward the email to you. How's that?
Okay.
The link is rtdutchess.org. RT for Rebuilding Dutchess, Rebuilding Together, rtdutchess.org. I'll forward the email to you so you'll see it.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Next board meeting is going to be Wednesday, July 14th. Same time and place. I'll try to get a computer that works next time. Any final comments? Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you.